Jessica from Peace Love Books, and today I'm here with my favorite series that I read / discovered or read the most of this year. So this list made me realize I am horrible. I mean, I knew that, but I'm horrible at series, and I need to make it a priority in 2024 to read through the entirety of series, especially when I start them. I did have a couple on here that I was like, oh, I did love the first book of the series, but then I never continued on. So what did really help was doing different read-alongs. So I had a couple that I read for read-alongs where I read the entirety of the series, and it did end up on this list. So maybe I just have to do more of those next year, but I will go ahead and get to the series. So I did discover some new authors that I'm really happy that I read this year, including a lot of small town authors. So the first one is the Nashville Star series by Ava Hunter. This series is small town, and I think these are book 3 and 4. 1 and 2 were good, but definitely not my favorite of the series. I think these are actually her first books that she wrote, so they felt like first books, but then these two were my favorite. These all center around a band, and book 1 had amnesia, which is one of my favorite tropes. This one is his best friend's little sister, and she needs someone to take care of her, so he shows up, and they actually had a fling in the past that they like kind of ignored happened, and so this one is really great. It's less of a rock star romance than the rest because it's really like him going to her to figure things out and like thinking about leaving the band. This one is also one of my favorites. It's a marriage and trouble romance. This is book 4, and you kind of see him throughout the series, and like you know something's going on with them in their relationship, but he ends up actually going back to the farm where they met, and she is with all her brothers, and that's actually the spin-off series that she just started, which I absolutely love, and he has to win her back, and there's a little bit of suspense in here as well. So this one is just such a fun series that I don't see a lot of people talking about. Tori and I did do a read-along together for it, so check out Ava Hunter, but Tame the Heart is her new one, and it's so good. So she's definitely an author to keep an eye on. I did recently, if you didn't know, redo all my shelves, so I don't know where this series is, and I'm not going to dig through to find it. It is the Blame It on the Alcohol series by Fiona Cole. I also was part of a read-along for this, and this series was so fun. The first one, not my favorite. So a lot of times, if the first book's not my favorite in a series, I don't have the, like, push to continue on and finish it, so that's why I normally put it off, but the first one I gave 3 stars. It's a billionaire marriage of convenience. Oh, it's with her boss, and I was not a fan, but then we had the second one, Blame It on the Tequila, which was so good. So she actually had a relationship with him when they were younger, but when they were younger they were step siblings, and now she has a friend, like I don't know if it was like joining a live or something, but like ended up hooking her up with one of the people in the band, and he immediately recognizes her and he's like, oh my god, it's you, and then they get reconnected, and then she helps them write on the road for the band and was like helping with their social media. It was so good. So it's technically a second chance romance when they were step siblings, and I love the angst in this one. And then the third one was pretty good. I gave 3 stars, 5 stars, 4 stars. So overall a really solid series that I was really happy that I read. The last one was just a friends to lovers rockstar romance. So this series, if you like rock stars and you like a shorter series, only 3 books, check this one out. I of course have to talk about one of my favorites. So there are a couple like all-time favorite authors on this list, but we have the Lost and Found series by Katheryn CS. She released all 4 of these books this year, and book 5 is releasing I think in February. So we have Whispers of You, which is a second chance romance, very, very emotional because she is almost killed in the beginning by like this mass murderer on this like shooting spree that a couple people in town went on, and her boyfriend at the time wasn't there, and so he leaves and comes back years later because he was very guilty of what happened, and it's their time to reconnect. And then I think this one's my favorite so far in the series. It is Echoes of You, friends to lovers romance. She left town, they've been friends since like kindergarten, and she left town to go live with her fiance, got engaged, and then he ends up being abusive to her, so she leaves, comes back to town, and that is their story. And then we have Glimmers of You, which so many tropes in here. It's fake dating, brother's best friend, hate to love. They were like on the cusp of becoming something more when they were younger, but she had a diabetic episode while they were hiking, and he like got really freaked out and like carried her down the mountain, saved her, and then pushed her away after that because he was terrified of losing her. So like to save himself from losing her, he just didn't get close to her, and now they have to fake date. It's really good. And then the last one is Shadows of You, which is Grump Sunshine, single mom. He was actually accused of the murders from book 1, and he didn't do it, so he's been very closed off for his entire life, but then he opens up to the mom next door. So this one was good as well. This series obviously blew me out of the water. Love it so much. One of my favorites of the year. Had to include it on this list. Then I actually have 2 by this author. Did I not grab them? Oh, They're up there. Okay, I'm just gonna talk about this book series as a whole. So I believe I actually read the first one. I don't remember if I read it last year. This series I listened to all on audio because there was an audio sale and they were like $3 each, so I listened to them. I will put the photo up, the one that's my favorite. This one is a single dad firefighter nanny romance, and it was so good. But Laura Pavlov has such good family in her romances, and they have these like group chats, and they're very small town. Love this series so much. And then I also have her Cottonwood Cove series. So this one actually came out this year. I just binged her entire Honey Mountain series. She is definitely going to be an author that is going to be part of the favorite authors of the year list that I discovered this year. I did read one of her books last year, the year before, and it was fine. It was part of a different series, but her small town is where it's at. So this series blew me out of the water. I think I'm actually missing one. I did not include the new one. So there's 5 actually, and it just finished. So these are all so good, and I've actually not finished it. I've only not read book 4, Before the Sunset. It was just a ton of releases were coming out that time, and I never got around to it. But book 5, After the Storm, is my absolute favorite. The whole series revolves around siblings as well, and we have all different tropes, but the last book is a second chance romance. Really wrapped up the series so well, and I was obsessed. So if you like small town with so much emotion, and just they're so good. So good, honestly. The last one blew me away. I was just like, this is amazing. I have another author that I feel like really came into her own this year, and that is Lena Hendrick. She has the Sullivan family series, so she as well does a really good job at the whole family aspect. And we have One Look, which I gave 4 stars, and then we have One Touch, which I gave 5 stars, and then One Chance, which is the new one, which I did not love the new one, so definitely know that if you go into the series. I gave the new one 3 stars, but we got 4, 5, 3. So if I have like overall an average of a 4, if you add those up, it is really good. I really enjoyed this one. He is a single dad football coach, I believe he's coaching. He was a football player. Yeah, he's a former football player turned coach. I was like, I know he played, but I don't think he plays anymore, and he's back in the small town and falls in love with someone in their small town. One Touch, they're renovating a house together, and it's her brother's best friend, and she doesn't want him around, and it is so good. This one I was obsessed with. This one's a friends to lovers. I wasn't completely sold on their relationship. It was definitely very insta-love. They're trying to find dates for each other for this auction that if they didn't have a date for, they'd be auctioned off as a date, and then decide to fake date. But I feel like he was like a playboy, and I don't love like the whole friends to lovers, but he's like super playboy, and she's just the one pining. I don't super love that trope, so I didn't super love this, but the rest of the series was so good, and I'm excited to see what Lena Hendrick does next, because I feel like she is just really making her own name in the small town romance genre as well, and I can't wait to read her backlist. Then I have the Kings of Sin series. Now technically I read King of Wrath in December, but then I read King of Pride and King of Greed this year, so technically I read a majority of the series this year, and I'm obsessed. Anna Huang writes billionaires like no other, and they're all such different tropes. This one's marriage of convenience. This one, I don't even know what you would call this one. I don't know, I just was obsessed with Kai. I don't even know what the tropes in here would be. They just really like each other. I mean, they're opposites maybe? King of Greed is Second Chance of A Marriage in Trouble. So this whole series is absolutely amazing. I absolutely love it. King of Sloth is coming out in April, and I cannot wait. It's going to be so good. And I believe this whole series is going to be 7 books, which is all the 7 Deadly Sins. So I'm excited. Like, cards in there. Okay, but if you like billionaires, you like super overprotective heroes, you have to check out Anna Huang. Her Twisted series is also amazing as well. Then we have the Rose Canyon series, which again, I feel like there was one that was like, it was okay. So book 1 I gave 4 stars. This one's amnesia romance. Oh, I can't tell you the trope because it's a kind of a spoiler who her romance is with, but this is really heavy on the romantic suspense, which is why I loved book 2. It is a very suspenseful book, but it is with someone that is his wife, that they like married as convenience and like haven't spoken to each other in a long time, and now she's back in his life and they're like still married, and it's so good. And these are all small town. Book 3 is where it like really missed for me, and I think I gave book 3 3 stars. I didn't love it, but it went 4 5 3. So oh, is that the same as the Lena Hendrick series? Yes. So I still had so much fun reading this. I read it for a read along. If you like romantic suspense and small town, highly recommend checking this series out. And the last series that I finished and read this year was the Supernaturals of Castle Academy series. This is a Why Choose fantasy paranormal kind of series, and I started so many Why Choose paranormal romance series, and I stopped after book 1. and I am interested in reading more. I just need to do what I did with this one, which is like binge them all the way through. So this series is really fun because it is a heroine who grew up with she had a loving father and then he passed away, and then her mom got a boyfriend, I think, who was like really creepy. So she's basically like living in her garage, and her childhood best friend comes and like whisks her way to his mansion, and he's like, I'm here to come save you. So he takes her to his mansion where he's living with his best friends, and I think there's 4 of them living in the mansion because one of them comes in later because they have some like beef with him. It's reverse harem with 5. It is a Y choose with 5 heroes, and they all are different supernatural beings, and she has no idea about the supernatural world, and they are worried she's not strong enough to be their bond because like when you bond it has to like amplifies powers. It's kind of like the Bonds That Tie series by J. Bree, but definitely different. Like it's also at this academy that they go to school to. So these are definitely more new adult. I think that might be like senior year of high school. I think they're seniors because it does say that she's 18. So these are so good, lots of action, and I'm so excited to read her next series, which is gonna have dragons in it. So very, very excited, but I really enjoy these and I have to read more of these kinds of series. Like I already know, and it's like a big joke, I start so many series and I never ever finish them. So that's going to be a priority in 2024. I think I said that last year though, but I'm determined to finish these series. So I just need to sit down and finish every series that I start because I won't finish them otherwise. So those are all of my favorite series. Like I said, I started so many that I really loved, but if I've only read one book in the series, I can't say it's a favorite series of mine, and I'm annoyed with myself for not reading more. But I always feel like, oh, I can recommend that book and that series, but now I want to go read other authors as well, so I have more to recommend, so then I never go back and finish series. But let me know if you've read any of these and what your favorite series you read this year were. I would really love to hear, and that's all I have. As always, thank you so much for watching and have a good day. Bye.